Those opportunities don't happen for everyone, and I am a living example that they don't. What evidence do you have, though, that they're lowering the standards? There's no evidence of that. That's not happening, and is not equal for everyone. I've had incredible opportunities as a person of color.
Right.
But I've also
been very well.
But I've also been discriminated against, and I know that I have.
Don Lemon and Elon Musk had a rather interesting and controversial interview that's been all over the internet. And yes, I know I'm a few days late recovering and I apologize. But really, when it wasn't out yet, everyone instantly, on X at least, conservative home grounds, jumped to Elon's defense. The narrative was that Elon embarrassed Don Musk so bad, who has no intellectual ability to be in the room with Elon. And it was so bad that that's why he ended his contract, because why would he want someone so unintelligent on his platform? But when I watched it, it was pretty clear that Don Lemon was frustrating Elon by consistently sticking to facts, the truth, and not pivoting when Elon would make attempts to do so, because he was clearly uncomfortable with the line of questioning, and his ending his contract probably had to do with that. Him actually asking him tough questions. He's like, I'm only trying to sign puppets over here. So I want to start with this clip on the issue of racism.
If they say and they believe that they are treated a certain way in this country, why don't you believe them?
You cannot have a situation where someone is a self-described victim and they just get to be that because that's how they feel.
I think that does happen in some cases, but not all cases. And I think that not understanding the history of the country, I think, is a real shame. Look,
We should understand the history of the country and other countries.
I've had incredible opportunities as a person of color.
Right.
But I've also
been very well.
But I've also been discriminated against, and I know that I have. And I know that that's real. And for someone to say that that isn't happening, I should just move forward and not think about that and ignore the past, is insulting.
I'm not saying it. Don, you keep putting words in my mouth. I'm not saying it.
I didn't say that you said it.
I'm saying that we as a country should move beyond the questions of race and gender.
We should move past race and gender and treat people like individuals. But that is precisely why calling out racism and measures like affirmative action and DEI are important. People like Elon will point to people like Don and say, see, you're successful. Racism isn't real. So it's wonderful that Don brought that up, because he's successful in spite of, not because of. And this is a barrier that white people in this country know nothing about and could never know anything about. You don't move past the history of racism embedded in this country by pretending it never existed. You move past it by removing all the individual barriers that it created, largely that still exist today, so that everyone can share the equal opportunity in every regard.
Base our opinions on them, on the, their character and their skills.
I don't think that anyone will disagree with that.
Exactly.
All I'm saying is that that's not happening and is not equal for everyone. That those opportunities don't happen for everyone. And I am a living example that they don't. I know that they don't because I live it.
You've been incredibly successful.
I have been,
and
in spite of it all. But I know what I know. I've experienced what I've experienced. You haven't done that. And I cannot, I don't know what it's like to be from South Africa. I don't know what it's like to be a white man. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to be a Latino person. I don't know that. So I wouldn't speak for them and just say, you need to move on. That's not for me to say.
We've already covered largely the economic and socio-economic factors that show how racism largely still exists today, from Black people being less likely to receive loans, to the wealth gap, to the effects of redlining, etc. But I wish Don Lemon here would have went in on the strictly social obstacles, the prejudice, something that, again, white people could never know anything about, because even as a successful Black man, you never rid the prejudice. Even if you hurdle the stereotypes, you still deal with it through qualifiers. Oh, well, you're put together for a Black man. You talk nice for a Black man. You're successful for a Black man. And these have psychological effects on you and your behavior in ways that Elon could just never understand. But then there's also these socio expectations that in most regards hold you back as a Black man, where they don't as a white man, because you won't get the same amount of considerations as you're getting written off just from the expectation of yourself.
And you claim that DEI programs are putting people at risk. Do you really believe this to be true? And what evidence do you have to support it?
What I was referring to there was that if we lower the standards for doctors, so that they, if the test for a doctor is lowered, then the probability of them making a mistake and killing someone is obviously going to be higher.
Wait, say that again. I'm not sure I understand what you said. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Yes, if the standards for passing medical exams and becoming a doctor, or especially something like a surgeon, if the standards are lowered, then the probability that the surgeon will make a mistake is higher. They're making mistakes in their exam. They may make mistakes with people, and that may result in people dying.
What evidence do you have, though, that they're lowering the standards? There's no evidence of that.
Yeah, there's absolutely no evidence on this whatsoever. And the worldview that people have like this on DEI just exposes their own inner racism. His proof that they're lowering the standards is that they're going to hire more people of color and women. And, you know, they have to lower the standards if they're going to do that. I always use this comparison, but DEI is picking from the qualified candidates, saying that you have people of color in your qualified candidates, so some of them should be chosen too. It's not hire qualified people and then go pick a few people of color as well. Like, after you're done hiring those qualified whites, run outside, find the first black person you see and give him a job. It doesn't matter how much about it he knows. And the fact that he thinks black people aren't already qualifying for these jobs and just being overlooked shows not only his racism, but his lack of understanding of how this issue still exists. They recently even reaffirmed the study about the job applications where everything was exactly the same. Qualifications, experience, location, etc. all exactly the same, except the name on one was more black than the other, which was more of a typical white person name. And the application with the black name on it was called back 10% less than the white applications. This was the second time the study has done. The same results were found. I think it was like 2 or 3 decades before. The discrimination is clear. It's always existed. It's not going to go away by pretending it never did. And that's not even to mention the layers that come after your first interview, where they see, oh, he has dreadlocks? He's not professional. We don't want him. There's multiple layers to how this sort of discrimination can be applied, and a barrier at every step of the way for people of color. I mean, Elon Musk himself had one interview with a homosexual black man and then instantly discriminated against him when it ended. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd like to support, because the only way we become a society is together.